Hey everybody, this is Theo, and I'm back again with more Microsoft Excel tips and tricks. Even though this isn't really a tip or a trick, this is really me just showing one of the core concepts of Microsoft Excel. Now, a little bit of a backstory. I have a good friend that is looking to buy a car, and they're trying to play through scenarios in their mind um, of what they can afford. One of the last things that you want to do is go into a car dealership with no real understanding of what you can afford in terms of a payment. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a function um, using one of Microsoft Excel's pre built functions to help my friend out a little bit. And so, in doing so, I'm going to not only um, help my friend, I'm also going to be demonstrating how these functions work. Now, you might be looking at my screen and thinking, oh, this looks a little bit different than my version of Microsoft Excel. I'm using the Macintosh version of Microsoft Excel. Um, the Windows version looks slightly different, but the concept that I'm going to show you has been virtually unchanged in the last 25 years in Microsoft Excel. So why don't we get started? I'm going to try to calculate a payment here. Now, what I want to do is insert a function. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. I'm just going to hit this FX button here, and you'll notice that it puts the equal sign there. Now, on the left-hand side of my insert bar, you'll notice it has PMT. PMT stands for the payment function. Now, I just happen to know that that's the function that I want. On the right side of my screen, you'll notice that Formula Builder comes up. It just so happens that payment is one of the last functions that I used. But you'll notice that as I click in my Formula Builder, in the bottom of my screen, it gives you an explanation of what all these functions do. Also, if you look, and I haven't used the Microsoft version in a while, but I think it has something similar as well. When you click on any of these menu items up here, it exposes what are called ribbons. And so this is the formula ribbon of Microsoft Excel. And you'll notice it's got financial there. And you can insert any of these functions here. All right? And so the function that I want to insert is called payment. Notice it inserts PMT open close parentheses. Now, what I want to do is I want to fill in these values, and I'll explain a little bit of how these values work. So why don't I go back out here, and what I'll do is I'll fill these values in my spreadsheet, and then I'll reference them in my formula, and you'll see why I'm doing that in a second. So let's say, what's the going rate on a car loan right now? Maybe it's 6% interest, right? The number of months that I want to pay is 60 months. The present value of the vehicle, well, I want my friend to have a nice vehicle, so I'm going to say 40,000. Oh, it looks like I'm typing in the wrong section there. Oh, I don't know. It's formatting this as percent for some odd reason. Let me turn that formatting off. I just want to format this as a number. There we go. the future value of the vehicle is going to be zero because I'm paying the note off. And beginning cycle, this is something that Excel uses based on whether your payment is going to happen at the beginning of the month or the end of the month. If you're paying at the beginning of the month, then you want to put a 1 here. If you're paying at the end of the month, you want to put a 0. When Microsoft Excel calculates payments, if you leave this blank or if you don't fill in a value for it, it just automatically assumes a 0. You'll see that whether you pay at the beginning of the month or the end of the month, it really doesn't change the value of your payment that much. But in any event, so down here in this cell, I'm going to insert my payment function. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference all these fields in my payment function. And by doing so, I'll be able to change the value and play with the values of this function to give myself different scenarios about what I'll pay. So for my rate, I'm just going to click on my cell that has 6% in it. Now, here's the deal. When you're calculating the payment, it calculates the payment based on not only the rate, but you've got to divide that by 12 because that's really how your interest rate is applied over the course of a year. So I'll divide by 12 there. Number of periods, I will click on 60 months. So MPER just stands for number of periods, and in general, number of periods just means months. The previous value the present value, is the value of the car note right now. So that will be present value. The future value of the note is going to be 0 because the note's all paid off. And the type, I'll just make that 0. And you'll notice that once I hit done, it calculates how much a month I'll be paying for this car. Now, I know my friend pretty well. They're going to say $775 a month? No way. All right. Well, what if we play with the interest rate a little bit? So maybe if I change this interest rate from 6% to 3%, well, you'll notice it recalculates my payment there. So still too hefty for you? Maybe I want a car that's maybe $25,000 instead of $40,000. Now we're under $500 a month. So you'll notice as we play around with these numbers, you'll see that I can start to work with this until I get to numbers that I want. So this will give you a pretty good idea. It's not 100% exact, but it gives you a pretty close approximation of what a car dealer is going to tell you in terms of a payment. And you can do this before you go, so that way you're not sort of blindsided, and it just kind of helps you figure out what you're getting. Now, one of the other things that I want you to notice in what we did here is if I click inside this guy, you'll notice that all of the pieces of information we were filling out, for the most part, are also other Microsoft Excel functions. So let's say I wanted to calculate the interest rate that I would need to get in order to get at a certain payment. Well, you can go into your formula section, financial, and if you choose rate, you basically would fill in all the information that we filled in now, except we would be calculating the rate that we need to hit. Now, the only thing about rate that you'd have to remember is that just like up here, we had to divide by 12 to get the proper rate. When you calculate the rate, you have to multiply that value times 12, and it will give you the rate that you're looking at. So, with that being said, for the most part, every Microsoft Excel function works pretty much the same. You type in equal, you type in the function that you want, and open close parentheses, and then you fill it in with whatever you are trying to perform the function on. Now, as it turns out, Microsoft has a ton of pre-built functions in it. I think for the financial functions, there are a lot of basic ones in there that once you get past what the function means, you can kind of figure out what you need to do. But it also has like date and time functions, math trigonometry functions. These lookup and reference functions are sort of like database functions. I can show you how those work in a different video. It also has statistical functions, which are pretty great if you're taking any classes in statistics or anything like that. So that was just a brief sort of understanding of functions in Microsoft Excel. And I hope that was helpful. I hope my friend can use that to figure out how much they want to spend on their vehicle.